Joining me now on the story, Robert Bianchi, former prosecutor and criminal defense attorney. So, Bob, when you see this, he was initially charged with first-degree murder, but the jury found him guilty of second-degree murder. How does that work, that they find him guilty of a different charge?
Well, the jury assessed all the evidence in the case, and first-degree murder in Massachusetts essentially means that it was premeditated. Second-degree murders are for all other knowledgeable murders that may not be premeditated or done with wantonness or cruel and heinous nature, and so it becomes a second-degree murder, which carries a 15-year to life sentence. So this jury actually did a very significant deliberative process and said, we believe he did it. That was the tough part of the prosecution's case, but we don't believe the prosecutor proved that it was a premeditated or heinous murder, but rather a second-degree murder.
There is a lot of finger-pointing in this case, and essentially Rochelle Bond blaming Mike McCarthy and vice versa.
Right.
She's the one, though, who took the stand as part of a plea deal. What does that say to you?
Well, listen, as a homicide prosecutor, I've been in these scenarios where it's a kind of he said, she said, if you would, and you know there's somebody dead and two people were there, and you have to do a very critical analysis. Obviously, you want to get the main perpetrator, and sometimes it's not easy to do. So what happens, and I've done it before myself, I've never given a probation for it or a time served, but I've flipped a witness who I believed was not the main perpetrator to testify against the person who I believed to be the main perpetrator. Now, of course, it's very difficult for the prosecutor because there's a lot of credibility attacks that the defense can put out there. You did this because you're getting a benefit, because you're getting a break from the prosecution. You're going to walk free from this courtroom. But the fact is, 12 jurors, and the judge tells them, you can assess the credibility of witnesses just by how they testify. And 12 jurors found beyond a reasonable doubt she was believable.
And that's interesting, because we did hear his attorney come out, obviously, and say he clearly does not agree with the finding. Perhaps not surprising. I would venture to say, though, the worst part of all of this is that lost in this is the fact that this little girl had gone missing. She turns up. No one knows who she is. It takes a neighbor to call and say, hey, I think I know who that little girl is. How much can any of that come into play?
Well, listen, as a prosecutor, it comes into play with me a lot as it relates to her case. Tremendous investigative work as a former homicide prosecutor myself. They didn't pull any punches here. They went out, they put that composite out there. The community, once again, gives an active tip that leads the prosecutors to people to charge. But with respect to her, what bothers me is she's continuing to accept insurance money and welfare money or Social Security money for the child. She doesn't do anything to alert people to this. I would look at this myself as a prosecutor, like, you need to do some serious jail time for all those things. In this case, I think she got kind of a slap on the wrist.
It did seem like a little bit of a slap on the wrist, but that's it at this point. Michael McCarthy, though, could appeal, correct?
He can appeal, but listen, the bottom line here is that the only way that an appellate court is going to reverse this is if there was an error in the manner in which the judge charged the law. This was a simple credibility decision that the jury is in the province of the jury, they say, and judges very rarely, if ever, reverse a credibility decision of the jury that was there, that listened to the testimony, that watched the witness testify. So I don't see, unless a judge made a major legal mistake here, I don't see this case being reversed.
Good to see you. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, you got it.